Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today and I hope you guys are doing well. I am Nora, I am a student at Virginia Western and I have here with me today Skylar and Brooke, and we're going to be talking about online learning. Now this topic is very important, I think, with the ongoing pandemic and how the majority of us are at least taking some online classes this semester and possibly for future semesters to come. So take what we say really seriously because we have all had some experience with online learning and we just want to relate our experiences with you. Now, some of the topics we discussed today will be the focus of other videos that are coming out over the next couple of months by the ambassadors. So if you hear something that you find really significant and you want to be discussed further, odds are before the end of September, there will be another video put out about it. So first thing I want to talk about is learning environment and how online learning differs from in-person and how there's asynchronous courses versus synchronous. So what do you guys want to say about that?
Okay, so you guys have been hearing a lot of stuff here recently, I'm sure, about signing up for synchronous or asynchronous classes. This is something that we've had in the past, but it's really definitely more of a focus with COVID-19 right now. So of course, let's break down those terms a little bit. So of course, synchronous is when you are in class with your professor, you are on a Zoom call with your professor and your other classmates. And then asynchronous is where you're kind of working at your own pace and you're not necessarily meeting at a particular time via a Zoom call. So your professor may give you the option to join another one of their Zoom calls for another course. I know a professor of mine is doing that for this semester. So if your professor does that, definitely take that opportunity to get to know some of your other classmates and definitely get to know that professor better.
Yes, and another form of class room environment and learning, we're doing hybrid classes as well. So a lot of the lab classes and sciences and in the STEM fields, they're trying to still meet on campus. And so it's going to be a hybrid class where half of your class is going to be in a synchronous Zoom class. And then you will also meet on campus with your other students in a socially distant environment, following all of the COVID guidelines for the college.
And the thing about online learning that I think a lot of students struggle with is pacing themselves, especially for the asynchronous courses. I know from personal experiences when I've taken classes where I kind of decide how fast or slow I want to go, it was really hard for me to remain motivated and sometimes I would get behind. The professor would assign so many assignments and say it's due next Monday, and then it would be Sunday night and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have all of these classes, all these assignments that I need to work on. So something that we are going to stress later in this video, it will be a further point, but I just want to mention it now, is to remain motivated and to try to keep a schedule for those on your own pacing courses, because you do not want to get in that kind of situation where you're super stressed and you have so much work to do and not a lot of time to do it. So definitely do not put yourself in that situation. I just want to get that out now. And so the next thing that we're going to discuss is creating your own space. Like I mentioned, there are going to be some topics that will be the focus of other videos, and this is one of those because I think that's something a lot of people are kind of learning to do, is to figure out where they want to do their work for the upcoming semester. And even this doesn't even have to be about school. It can be just people who have online jobs. That could pertain to some of you watching this video maybe, is creating your own space and how you want to get yourself separated from other distractions. Things that I would suggest, I come from a very big family, so I have a lot of siblings who are in high school or middle school who are also doing online learning. My dad is a teacher too, and he's going to be working from home to a certain extent. And I would just suggest to create a schedule with them or just try to negotiate with them about how you want to delegate spaces within your house or divvy up spaces in your house to where you can be the most functional and separated from, I don't want to say separated from them, but separated from anything or anyone who might be a distractor to you. I would also try to put up little motivators, whether it be like cute little Pinteresty posters or sticky note messages, like saying you can do this, you know, anything really that can help motivate you to stay on track. I would also suggest getting an app, or like I have an app that turns off my phone for so many minutes or it locks it out. So I don't have the pressure to, or I don't have the persuasion to get on my phone in the middle of class. So I would definitely suggest doing something like that, or maybe if you have stronger willpower than I do, that may not apply to you, but I would definitely suggest doing that. What else do you guys have to say?
So along with what Nora was saying, I think one of the hardest things about online learning is separating yourself from those distractions, because you do have your cell phone, or you have like TV in the background, or you can switch to other tabs on your laptop. And I think having a little bit of self-discipline, and either getting an app or trying to set your phone in a place where it's not easily reachable during your online classes, because that is one of the biggest distractors, and it's something that we all struggle with because we use our phones so much. But definitely try to distance yourself, or put it where it's in a place where it's like turned off and your notifications aren't off, just so you can keep focused on your classes.
Absolutely. Creating your own space is super important. I have those little motivator things. I bought a couple of plaques here recently. They say like be bold and be brave, and they're super cute. But just kind of like placing those on my desk. I have pets that are extremely noisy. I have pet birds. So it is a struggle to find a place in the house where they cannot be heard via a Zoom call. And while you're on your Zoom, you're probably going to want to maybe mute yourself. Of course, your professor will go over that. But you may want to mute yourself so it is not very loud in your Zoom call. But for me, that's a distraction that I have to kind of step away from when I'm creating my own space. I don't like to work in my bed because I'll say it's so tempting to roll over and be like, I'll take a quick nap, I'll come back to this, but no, don't do it. But yeah, definitely create that your own space and really set that aside as this is where I'm going to work and I'm going to get my work done. Or create apps on your phone, again, that will kind of limit what notifications can be seen, or hide it away so you don't even know it's there.
Yeah, actually, to touch on what Sky was just saying, comfort versus productivity, that is a very important thing to me. I definitely would argue that you should not work in the same place where you sleep or watch Netflix or anything like that that may be a relaxing thing for you. Maybe if you have a desk in your room, that could be a different situation, but that's not the case for me. And I would just suggest to not do class or any kind of assignments in your bedroom, because it really does. I'm pretty sure there's some psychological proof behind it that being in your bed lulls you to sleep, especially when you're working. So when creating your own space, I would definitely say make it a room where you're comfortable in to a certain extent. You don't want to be uncomfortable, but not to the extent where you feel yourself drifting off to sleep. You know, no pillows, no blankets, that kind of thing. You want to be in a work mood. So don't be somewhere where that's not going to happen for you. So next discussion point is technical issues. So that's a really big thing for people with the online learning, is that some people do not have the internet bandwidth in their houses to supply all of this Zoom learning that we're going to be doing and all the Canvas assignments that you're going to be doing this upcoming semester. And so we want to discuss some tips that we might have and have learned over the semester to help counteract all of those struggles. Something I would suggest is that if you know that internet is a problem for you, is to get in touch with your professors before the semester begins, or as early as you possibly can. And some suggestions for that would possibly be to go to some fast food restaurants that provide free Wi-Fi, maybe some local parks, churches, libraries, you know, any kind of resources, you know, even a friend's house, you know, borrowing their Wi-Fi, to contact your professors and say, hey, are you going to be recording your lectures on Zoom this semester? Or if you are not, can you please do that? So that way in the future, you can go in, you can download those lectures and watch them on your own time. There are also other resources that WVCC supplies that can help you with that. And Skylar actually, I think, has something to talk about pertaining to that.
Yeah, definitely. So as you are getting on and going to your Zoom call, you're going to have to be logging into your My WVCC account. And of course, that's under the Virginia Community College System accounts. So of course, when you log into that, you may have some difficulty at first. I know that it does kind of shut down from time to time to get a little bit of maintenance, but if you are having difficulty signing in, it's just not working out for you, go ahead and contact the Virginia Western Community College IET Help Desk. They are able to kind of help point you in the right direction with any technology problems that you may have, whether that could be logging into your My VWCC account, working the Virginia Western website, signing up for classes, and you're kind of struggling on looking at the schedule and everything. They're able to help you with that.
And one of the other things that has to go along with technical issues is being patient with professors, because they also are new to Zoom and new to like working classrooms out online and virtually. So there will be, like, it's inevitable, there's going to be some issue with one of your classes being held online. So just be patient, keep open communication through email. Some professors even provide a phone number that you can call or contact them during their office hours. So just make sure to keep open communication. Your professors will try their best to let you know if there's going to be an issue with a Zoom meeting or if they're having trouble with their connection. So just being patient all around and understanding, and the professors are also understanding of your technical issues. So make sure to reach out and let them know.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And another thing that's, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Sky. Go ahead.
Okay. Another thing that's super helpful when kind of navigating Canvas and everything, if you are struggling with Canvas, on your dashboard, you can go to the bottom left-hand corner of your Canvas page, and then there's a little blue question mark. You can click on that, and that provides an email address and a phone number that you can call to get any help with Canvas that you might need. And that's, of course, the Canvas hotline. Again, it may be user error, as I have found it to be a lot of times. But if you are struggling or something's just malfunctioning or you're trying to figure something out, of course, go to the group community forum. They have a lot of answered questions there and different articles that can help you. But if all else fails, go ahead and call that free hotline, and they are able to help you with any Canvas problems you might have.
Yeah, something I think is very important to stress is to not be afraid to advocate for yourself this semester. These are some really weird and somewhat troubling times that we are going through. Everyone all across the board is struggling. Students, professors, parents, BWCC personnel, we are all in a crazy, hectic time, and do not think that you are being a burden or a nuisance by hitting up your professors or the IET help desk. Like, this is what we all have to work together to, be our best and succeed with these courses. So do not be afraid to reach out and say, hey, I'm having these problems. Please help me. Because right now, especially more than ever, we really do have to advocate for ourselves as opposed to being in person. So just don't be afraid to do it, really. So next topic is cooperative learning. So what I mean by that really is just working with your fellow students. I think it's a lot easier to fall into the temptation to just hide behind the screen and not really interact with other people. You're not seeing them face to face. You're not working with them to the same extent as you potentially could be in class. Your professors probably aren't as much going to say, okay, talk to this student and tell them what you got for this problem that you guys are going to work on together. That's not going to happen, really, because you're online. You physically cannot do that. So it's a lot easier to not work with them as much as you want to. But cooperative learning is conducive to success. It is how things work in the real world, and it's really important that you still do that. Definitely reach out to people, even though it's going to feel a little bit weirder. Definitely reach out to other people if you're struggling on a topic in class. Maybe your professor isn't emailing you back as quickly as you would want them to. Talk to another student. They could help you. Maybe they're struggling with the same thing, and you guys could really help each other out. Form study groups, and there's going to be another video on that before the end of September pertaining to study groups. So if you want to hear more about that, keep your eye out for that video. But definitely try and form study groups with people. With the chat box in Zoom, use that if you're struggling with a question. Do all of those kinds of things. What do you guys have to say?
Yeah, okay. Another thing, a lot of classes have a discussion board format that it's structured so classmates can interact with each other and also reply to other posts. So make sure to utilize those discussion boards and reach out to people because I know in a lot of English classes and even other like psychology classes, things like that, a teacher will post a prompt and then everybody answers and discusses, but make sure, and then through that you can make connections with other classmates and you can kind of see who has like views and things and is in different clubs, and it's a way of getting to know your fellow classmates from a virtual viewpoint.
Absolutely. When you are on those discussion boards, try to respond to as many fellow students as you can. I know sometimes it can be difficult to go through and read all of those posts, but just find a couple. Just kind of reach out and say, hey, my name's Skylar. Of course, this is my first semester at Virginia Western, etc. Just something that is a little bit about you. And just, again, forming study groups. So there will be another video coming out about that. However, I think that is super, super important. In-person classes, I always love to form a study group. Always super helpful when studying, especially for final exams, midterms, any big assignments that's happening, just to share, again, some similar viewpoints on that. But that is still able to happen. You can still do that kind of thing through Zoom this semester.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Those are all super true. You definitely want to work with your fellow students. We might have mentioned this earlier in the video, but if not, I'll say it now. Online classes are the exact same as in-person classes, except it's online. Like, it's just as important to communicate with your instructor. It's just as important to communicate with your fellow students, just like it's just as important to pay attention. All of those things are very true. You definitely want to utilize your fellow classmates as resources to help you succeed. Following up with that, we're going to talk about communicating with your instructors. That's a little bit weird. Now that we're online, it's going to be mostly over Zoom or on email. And something important that I want to mention is office hours. You obviously will not be going into your professor's office, I would assume, to ask questions and get help on your tests and maybe lab write-ups, math problems, whatever it may be. You can't do that in person, but some professors, I would assume all, but if not, some professors hold their office hours over Zoom, and I would strongly recommend you take advantage of that. I noticed when we went all virtual last spring, all of a sudden, when professors were holding their office hours via Zoom, they would just stop holding them because no one would go in and ask questions, or it would just be like one or two people, and then that trickled down to none eventually too. Do not do that. Definitely take advantage of those office hours because it's all you have. It's the only opportunity you really have to get that one-on-one time with your instructors where you're talking sort of face-to-face. So definitely do that. It's not ideal, but it is necessary. What else do you guys have to say about that?
And I agree with you, Nora. One of my calculus classes, I had a professor offer like Zoom help, and you can log into one of her Zoom classes, and there's other students. I was kind of afraid because I was like, well, I might be the only person who's struggling with this. So I thought I was going to be the only person in her Zoom help, and there actually was quite a few other students who were struggling with the same thing that I was. So I was able to communicate with my professor and communicate with my fellow classmates through this Zoom platform for math help, which is something that I didn't think was possible to do over the phone or over Zoom. So definitely it goes along with cooperative learning, along with the communication, and definitely take advantage of those resources.
Absolutely. And again, don't be afraid to reach out to those other students. Kind of like Brooke said, you'd probably be surprised to find out you were not the only person struggling with that super hard math topic. I had a chemistry class when everything went virtual, and it was super helpful going into those virtual office hours. The professor was willing to help me out with anything that I needed. And often there might have been a student or two in there that were also struggling with something similar or had the same question as me. So she was able to kind of talk to everyone, and we were able to exchange some thoughts and stuff on upcoming tests and lab reports, etc. So definitely keep that open communication line via Zoom or email with your other students. or your fellow students and your professors?
Yeah, if we were in normal times, we'd basically be saying the same things, take advantage of office hours. And that still does apply, even when everything is virtual. Take advantage of office hours, in person or not. Also, we kind of mentioned this, just remember that not all professors are going to be as tech savvy. So definitely do be patient with them, and don't be afraid to email them saying, hey, you said you posted this assignment on Canvas, but I don't see it. What's that about? Because on more than one occasion have I seen a professor announce an assignment being uploaded, and then like 20 minutes later, they're saying, actually, I didn't do it. I hit the wrong button, or internet wasn't working, or something. A student mentioned this to me. Now I've seen it. My apologies. So definitely don't be afraid to do that if you notice that your professor might have had a little fluke. It's just, it's just part of us learning how to handle all of this stuff. So our last topic of discussion is motivation. It's a lot harder, I think, to be motivated to attend online classes as opposed to in person, especially like I mentioned earlier, with those asynchronous classes on your own pace. It's a lot harder to feel motivated to do what you got to do, but you just have to remember that these classes are the exact same as taking one in person. Really, when in regards to importance, the necessity of completing your assignment and attending those office hours and paying attention in class, not switching to another tab or getting on your phone, you really do have to put forth the same amount of effort as you would a normal class.
Absolutely. I have a friend in the nursing program, and I have to quote her on this. She said, whenever you're feeling unmotivated, she said, remember your why. Remember why you're doing this. She said, is it a kid at home that you are working to prove to them, I can get my college education? Is it something you're looking to transfer to or for your university? Like, remember why you're here, and that's going to help push you forward. So that's definitely something that I've used here recently, struggling, of course. So I was so excited to go back to campus after all of this, ready to go back, meet some new people, see some fresh faces. Unfortunately, I will be doing that via Zoom, and as will the rest of you. But yeah, we can definitely kind of have that same mentality and that same attitude toward the excitement of starting a fresh school year, but doing that via Zoom.
And as far as motivating yourself, don't try to overbook yourself, because I know with classes online, it can be easy to say, oh, I only have this block of class and I can fit this many in this amount of days. And it can be really easy to fill up your schedule with Zoom classes or with virtual classes, but those classes also require about 3 to 4 hours every day outside of class, outside of your Zoom meetings, of your own motivated dedication to those courses. So don't overstress yourself. Don't try to book more than you can handle, because I know that it's easy for us to think that we have all of this time in the day, but just make sure that you can stay motivated without overbooking yourself or overstressing yourself and putting too many classes or Zooms in one day.
Absolutely. And something to help keep you on track, that a new habit that I formed last spring was creating a schedule for my day, like saying you're going to wake up at this time, you're going to do classwork from this hour to this hour, then you're going to have a study break, you're going to have a lunch break, your next class from this hour to this hour, really planning out your day. It may seem tedious, it may seem like a constraint, but I found myself to be so much more productive when I created a schedule for my day. And it also helped me to remember all of these classes that I have to do, especially those asynchronous ones that are so easy to forget, as opposed to the ones where you're scheduled to be meeting in person. It's easy to forget that kind of stuff. And when you have it all written out in front of you, it really does take that work off of your shoulders, and it helps you to stay on track and focused and to succeed. So definitely use that as a resource if you think that that's something that's going to help you. Try it out. It really worked for me, and hopefully it will for you.
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Something I will add to the scheduling, something I found is I still live at home, so I have a parent or a friend or someone kind of keep me accountable. Like if I say I'm going to work for 3 hours on this subject or however it's going to work, however I schedule, then make sure that I'm not getting up, I'm not having conversations, I'm not wandering to the kitchen to get a snack. Like make sure that I'm staying and doing what I'm doing. And if I'm not tell me to go back and finish what I'm doing. So I definitely found that useful, especially when we transitioned to online during the spring.
Yeah, and even if you live by yourself or you want some other external resources, try using your friends. I have great friends who do understand the importance of my work, and there are friends of mine who have been kind of keeping check on me, saying, "Hey, have you finished your classes? Have you finished your assignment? You know, maybe you do want to come out and have fun with your friends, but you have a test the next morning. You know, so it probably would be better for you to stay home and study, even though it's not nearly as fun." But definitely, if you feel the need to do that, you know, reach out to your friends, say, "Hey, can you guys keep tabs on me and make sure that I'm doing the work that I need to do?" And they probably will help you with that. So definitely do that. So unless you guys have any other last words or other topics you feel the need for us to hit, we can close this video.
I'm good.
Okay, great. So just some last things that I want to say. First of all, thank you for watching this video, and I really hope it is helpful for you. Second, this is a really tough time for everyone involved. It's definitely easy to feel unmotivated. It's definitely easy to feel like no one really cares, and that this is what's so much harder, and you know, you don't see the point. We totally get that. Mental health is definitely taking a toll, and productivity is part of that, and motivation to do your schoolwork is part of that. Just know that you're not alone. There are resources you can reach out to on campus who can help you with that. There are tutors that you can get to if you're struggling with struggling with a certain subject. There are people to help with your academic planning. If you feel the need, definitely reach out. And there will be videos about this kind of stuff that will be published in the future. So definitely don't feel like a burden if you need help, because everybody does. In one way or another, we are all reaching out to some other resource to help us adjust to this online learning, whether a new student or someone who's been here for a year. So definitely bear with us, believe in yourself, and you got this. Thank you so much for watching our video again, and good luck with your next